Mike's Daily Podcast.
Thank you so much for listening to this program, this podcast.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's episode 2610. That's a lot of podcasts, my friend, and it has required me to do every single one because I don't have any friends. No, I'm the one that does the podcast, then it's called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Thus, I have to be on it, doing it. It's part of the program, part of the deal.
Mike's
The last podcast
Daily
was called
Podcast.
Laminate or Laminate.
Yeah!
It was basically about laminates. Not the floor stuff, but the thing that you wear around your neck sometimes. No, wait, that's not a laminate. It's one of those signs that's encased in that weird plastic stuff. Yes, we were talking a little bit about that stuff, but it was also more about, all the crazy news. And we played some radio stuff from 20, 30 years ago that yours truly was doing. And we had a podcast picture from Portland, Oregon. I was there 10 years ago. It was a very interesting time because yours truly had just separated from my then wife. And it was I feel as if it's the only time in my life I've really walked around in a complete fog. Some people talk about a lost weekend or a lost month or a lost year. That definitely felt maybe that entire year of 2013 felt like a lost year. But my then wife told me just before we separated, hey, why don't you do something for yourself? Go somewhere you've always wanted to go and try to, forget about all the horribleness that's happening right now. And I said, okay.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I'm going to Portland, Oregon. And I was thinking about Portland, Oregon a lot lately because of the heat wave that we've been having in California and more so up in Oregon and Washington. And I really couldn't find any pictures. I don't know where my pictures went, but there was one really cool picture and I posted it. And you can see it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. And today's podcast picture is, last one was 10 years ago. Today's, we went back 5 years ago to a wonderful weekend I had in Benicia. Actually, it was just one day, but I was walking around, I think it was on the weekend, with the late, great Basil the boxer. Yes, he used to love going to Benicia. And there's these little beaches there. It is on the bay. It is on the Carquinez Strait, I think, is what it's called. And so you're inland, but there's all this water from the bay that goes into the Delta in California, all the way to Sacramento, Stockton. But Basil enjoyed barking at the waves and walking around on the beaches, and we had a lot of fun. Little did I know, and I was to meet my lovely lady friend around that time. And in fact, we just recently celebrated our 5-year anniversary. Little did I know that she was living in Benicia. Not at that moment, but I think the year before. But Basil and I used to love to go to Benicia all the time. We never ran into her. I met her years later in Podcastro Valley. And she was sitting on a bench with her friend Daisy, and they were talking, and along comes me and Basil. And it's fascinating to me because I know, knowing my lovely lady friend, she'll sit and talk with people, but she's usually on the move. So to have her stand still for long enough for me to run into her and meet her, and thus begin our wonderful journey together, that was miraculous. And I will be eternally thankful, as is my lovely lady friend, very thankful to Basil the boxer for pointing me in that direction. I wouldn't have been walking down that street if it wasn't for Basil. And we ran into each other, and we've been together 5 years. So we miss Basil every day because he brought us together, because he was a magical dog, and we miss him all the time. Now, my lovely lady friend, she's kind of a mom because she's got a cat we have Rocky the cat, and also Patches. Patches sort of adopted us. He's a feral cat. Used to never, as soon as he saw us, he'd run off into the hills. And then little by little, he got more and more friendly. We captured him, had him fixed by the vet, because that's the only way you could get him to the vet. Him being feral, you'd have to catch him. And they've got these programs here in the Bay Area that do that catch and release with cats. So at least they're fixed. They clip their ears. And we thought we'd probably never see Patches again, but he has since gotten more and more friendly. He's friends with Rocky the cat. So he's the cat that goes outside. Rocky, we let him outside, but he's on a harness. Yes, we've taught this cat how to walk on a leash. It's a catwalk. Wait, that's for models. The catwalk, on the catwalk, and I do my little dance on the catwalk. On to sexy. Right, said Fred. There, a little blast from the 90s. So, the point is, my lovely lady friend is celebrating Mother's Day in that way that we have pets. You probably have children, or maybe you don't. Or you probably had a mom. Maybe you know your mom, maybe you don't know your mom, maybe your mom's no longer with us, like my mom passed away last year. And I'm thinking about her today. I was thinking about my mom's squint. My mom had a certain squint. It was usually because of her smile. And she taught me a lot about wrinkles and about being happy with your wrinkles and try to smile a lot so you get nice smiley wrinkles. That kind of wisdom I remember with my mom. My mom could chat with anybody and was just the most friendly person on the planet. She unfortunately had an addiction to nicotine, as a lot of people from her generation did. And I hated that. I told her I wish she would quit. Her closest friends that wanted her to stay alive would tell her quit, but she was always, no, this is my one thing. I should be allowed this one thing. Well, unfortunately, that one thing leads to a decline in your health much quicker than if you don't have it. It is proven, and it proved the case with my mom. So I'm thinking of her, though, and the good times and all the beaches we went to and all the fun things we did in Florida after she moved to Florida about 20 years ago. And so thankful as we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, that she did visit me in Podcaster Valley and enjoyed actually going over to Livermore and the wineries there. She loved her wine. And the amazing trip we took to Germany. And then when I was a kid, my friends loved my mom. Absolutely adored her because she was the cool parent. She was like, hey, nice to meet you, Mike's friend. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to Disneyland. Let's go to, and some amazing places. She was a real go-getter. She ran a video store for years before Blockbuster basically put her out of business. And then, hey, haha, Blockbuster, you're out of business. Except for one, somewhere in Alaska, I think. But she was a survivor. Came from Germany. She knew she wanted to get out of Germany. She spent about a year in England studying English. She lived in Nottingham, like Robin Hood. And she was an au pair, lived with a family. A lot of great stories about that I've talked about on the podcast with my mom. She also so that didn't really appeal to her. So she ended up going to Paris and lived there for a year. Took some classes at the Sorbonne. She met a lot of interesting people. That's where I think her smoking habit really took off. A lot of people smoked in Paris at that time. Then went back home, and the opportunity to move to America, specifically California, happened. And she moved not only to Los Angeles, but to Bel Air. She was an au pair in Bel Air. And she worked for a nice Jewish family whose last name was the Winklers. I would always say, Mom, you mean Henry Winkler? You mean the Fonz? She said, I don't know what you're talking about. She didn't really watch television. Although, wait, I take that back. She did love Big Bang Theory. What is it with that generation that loves Big Bang Theory? I don't know. But my mom loved the beach. She didn't like to sit around watching TV. She liked to get out and do things. And she loved the beach. Did I mention she loved the beach? Oh, boy. That's where she met my dad. That's why I'm here. And she gave my dad, took a chance on my dad. We'll put it that way. Because she saw him with a book. And my dad wore glasses. So she thought, this guy must be smart. Oh, and he's tall. So that's how come I have glasses. I'm tall. Oh, and my dad was bald, but she didn't care about that. And thusly, I am bald. Although my mom made a big deal about it when I got bald. When I started losing my hair. She's like, oh no. You know, she seemed really concerned about that. I don't know what the big deal was. I guess it made me concerned for a while. And then I realized when I started shaving my head, I'm not holding on to those little bits of hair left. And plus, it's cool. And I guess I should be thankful I live in a time when it's cool to shave your head, like The Rock, like all these actors that are clean shaven, like what's the British guy, Jason Statham, and all the others. It's cool to have a shaved head. So I guess there's that look. I looked, and I talked about this on the last podcast. I found a website called Happily Bald, and it's for men and women. And it talks about things you can do depending on your skin tone, what sort of clothes you can wear. If you're a guy, should you grow a beard for your bald head? That kind of thing. Not getting any money from them, but I discovered that. So that seemed to be a hang-up for my mom. Although the love of her life, whom she found towards the end of her life, thankfully, and got to spend 5 wonderful years with him until he passed away. His name was Mike. He was tall. And they had the best relationship. And they got through horrible times for my mom. My mom lost her leg. He was there for her. She fell down and hurt her hip. They had to put a pin in it. He was there for her through that. Then he got sick. And she was there for him until the end when he passed. But they had a wonderful relationship. Got to meet him a couple times. Oh, and he was in broadcasting. He was in filming. Not filming, camera work. He was a cameraman for ABC Television and a couple other networks. But he apparently got some patented. He was a very smart man. Met him a couple times. I made chili for him and my mom once in Florida on the hottest of hot days. Why I made chili, I don't know. It was okay. He was just, he could have cared less. He was just staring at my mom the whole time. He was really in love with her, and she loved him. Yes, because it was good to see that, at least in my mom's life, because my dad and her did not have the best relationship. That marriage ended when I was 4. So then the next guy she was with for a long time, they ended up getting married, but then that marriage actually only lasted about 2 years. So she needed I'm glad she found the love of her life towards better late than never, basically. So, Mother's Day, thinking of Mom. But perhaps, here's the other interesting thing. So my mom, total Republican. Now, that was something I think we have Ronald Reagan to thank. I don't know what her political trajectory was early on. I knew she didn't really like Nixon. And then she definitely didn't like Jimmy Carter. And then Reagan came along and she goes, okay, I like this party. So she would always push me to vote Republican, vote Republican. She loved Trump. Oh boy, did she love Trump. She put a sign on her front lawn the first time he ran. The 2016 election had a sign on her front lawn. And I actually told somebody, a famous conservative talk show host, that this guy who worked for Trump was in his cabinet, in his administration. And he was like, oh, yeah, thank her for me. But that's... Oh, Mom and her Trump sign. That was the one thing when I was going through all her stuff after she passed. I never found the Trump sign. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe, Florida weather can cause those kind of things to deteriorate pretty quickly. But what's interesting, I don't know what she would think about this. Las Vegas resident Barack Zillerberg is a self-made entrepreneur, real estate investor, philanthropist, and he's a lifelong Republican. And he has thrown his hat into the ring for the 2024 presidential election. Did you even know about this guy? I only found out about him through an email sent to someone that eventually got to me. I have not. I've heard of the, what's her name? Nikki Haley. Of course, the Florida governor and Trump. But yes, have we heard about this guy? Barack? I guess it's Barack. It's not spelled like Barack Obama, but yes, Barack Zillerberg. Lifelong Republican, out to change the party and move it forward, it says here in this email. And says, with a presidential election not too far off, people are beginning to form opinions about the people and parties running, says this email. One person they will want to consider for the position is Barack Zillerberg, who is announcing his presidency. Turning heads with where he stands on some issues. He says, I've been a Republican my entire life and I love it. I love what it stands for, but we have to take a better stand on some of the positions. We must lead with compassion and commitment and put the people of our great party, of our great country first. It's time to get the pettiness and divisiveness aside to do what is best for the country as a whole. Apparently, this email says he will gain some support from people on both sides of the aisle. He's not afraid to take on challenges and always ready to hear people out despite their differences. He's someone who can bring the parties together. Oh, look at this. He's bald. He does the bald beard thing, like me. That doesn't say that in this, but it shows a picture of him. His position on the most popular issues help him stand out among Republican Party nominations. He supports the LGBTQ community, believes the country should be pro-choice, and would push to legalize cannabis federally. His plan also includes pardoning all inmates in jail who have served time for cannabis. These are issues that have largely left the Republican Party behind because they haven't kept up with the pace of the opinions of the people in the country. Well, there you go. I don't know if you've heard about him. I don't know, because I don't know exactly who's listening to this podcast, so of course I wouldn't know. But that's something that's a real thing. Apparently, he's got a website going, and he's on Twitter and Facebook. Interesting. All right. Outside of Cafe 808, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, the last place on earth. Happy Mother's Day. If it's not Mother's Day, then why the heck am I talking about it? May 14th, by the way, other than Mother's Day, is also National Dance Like a Chicken Day. And my mom and I used to dance to that, so that's fitting. National Buttermilk Biscuit Day. How do you like my biscuit? So that is how that ended up on Mother's Day. Maybe because a lot of moms made biscuit. Not sure. Okay. Hey, look who's out here along with all these beautiful birds. Hello, my gosh, it's Madame Rootabega, and thank you for telling everybody Happy Mother's Day. Ooh! Yes. Mother's Day is wonderful. Do you like buttermilk biscuits? Yes. Do you like buttermilk? Yes. Do you like coffee? No. What? So, my mom she had a friend named Winky in Florida. When she moved to Florida 20 years ago, she met someone that she remained friends with. And I had to let Winky know when Mom passed. It was very sad. But I remember when Winky she would send these goofy emails to my mom. And I know this because when I would go see my mom, I'd always check on her computer. I'd be like, Mom, you doing any updates on your computer? No. What's that? Oh, Mom, you got to do updates. Got to do updates. The computer's going to run slow if you don't. Plus, you don't want to get the hackers hacking in, so let me take care of this. Hey, Mom, I'm looking at your emails, and there's someone named Winky. Oh, yeah, she sends me all these funny things. So, when I let Winky know, it was very sad. And it was interesting because she said to me, Mike, I was just at your mom's house, and I was wondering why I hadn't heard from her, and I saw all the newspapers piling up in front of her house, and I was worried. And then I told her, and she was very sad. But she said, oh, that's terrible. And I said, Winky, can you send me the emails that you used to send my mom? And she said, of course. And here's one of them. Catholic coffee. It says, for Catholic men. And by the way, I'm so honored that I get put on this email list because it's just me and about 10 other people. So, heck yeah. Catholic coffee. 4 Catholic men and a Catholic woman were having coffee after Mass. My mom used to make fun of church coffee. Which is odd because then I told my mom, in Podcastro Valley, there's Cafe 4. It's in a church, and they have delicious coffee. And she said, oh. And then I said, Mom, there's something called AI. And she said, oh. No, she wasn't interested. She had a computer before I did. She was so hip with the computer stuff. She took a class on computers. So I had to run like heck to get caught up with her. And then I surpassed her because that was my job, was working with a lot of computers. So then I was teaching her a couple things. But this is what Winky sent her. 4 Catholic men and a Catholic woman were having coffee after Mass. The first Catholic man tells his friend, my son is a priest. When he walks into a room, everyone calls him Father. Father's Day's coming up soon. But everyone calls him Father. The second Catholic man chirps, my son is a bishop. When he walks into a room, people call him Your Grace. The third Catholic man says, my son is a cardinal. When he enters a room, everyone says, Your Eminence. The fourth Catholic man says, my son is the Pope. When he walks into a room, people call him Your Holiness. Since the lone Catholic woman was sipping her coffee in silence, the 4 men gave her a look and said, well? Okay, I have to be honest with you. I just had to hit stop on the recording because I read the punchline and I was like, uh-oh. Winky ain't woke. Winky is not woke. So the woman replies, I have a daughter, slim, tall, great figure. As my mom used to say, oh, she's got a great figure.
What in the world was that about?
When she walks into a room, people say, oh, my God. There you go. That is Winky's little less than... I guess she's good looking.
Baloney.
No, that's objectifying women. I'm sorry. But that was Winky. Winky was... So that is the thing. That is the interesting discussions you get into when you cross over to the different generations. There is one other joke attached to this email. Shall we attempt it? I haven't read the punchline yet, so I don't know if it's going to be less than woke. Who cares? Here we go. A woman goes to the doctor worried about her husband's temper. The doctor asks, "What's the problem?" The woman says, "Doctor, I don't know what to do. Every day my husband seems to lose his temper for no reason. It scares me." The doctor says, "I have just the cure for that. When it seems that your husband is getting angry, just take a glass of water and start swishing the water around your mouth. Just swish and swish and swish, but don't swallow it until he either leaves the room or calms down." 2 weeks later, the woman comes back to the doctor looking fresh and reborn. The woman says, "Doctor, that was a brilliant idea. Every time my husband started losing it, I swished with water. I swished and he calmed right down." How does a glass of water do that? The doctor says, the water itself does nothing. It's keeping your mouth shut that does the trick. Oh my gosh, Winky! Winky! Well, sorry. She sends me these emails. My mom would have loved that one. Hey, look who else is here.
Hello, Dave, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we got a lot of delicious food over there in the booth, in the parking lot there.
Yeah, food, booth. Do you know that? Oh, excellent. Sort of like a Mother's Day spread. What do you eat on Mother's Day? Buttermilk biscuits? Ham? It seems like every holiday it's ham. Or some kind of pork product. Hot dogs. Mom liked going... Well, she loved prime rib. Maybe it's a prime rib day? I don't eat that much meat anymore, so... You know what, though? In Florida, she got into shrimp. And all kind, like she loved shrimp salads and whatnot. So maybe we'll go with seafood. Do you have any seafood in the booth in the parking lot?
Yeah, we got some fish and chips day.
Yeah, fish and chips. Do you know that? Wow, fish and chips. In England, they have the smashed peas that they like to eat with fish and chips. And I have to thank my mom for that because she used to get the, what was it? Is it Gordon's Fisherman, those fish fingers? The fried fish things that you put in the oven. And it's like you've got fish and chips. Anyway, she would always serve it with peas. And little did I know it was because of her, maybe her, a little bit of her British experience where she enjoyed some of that, although she did not like fried stuff generally. You know, it's not really those fried fish, not really good for you, of course. Shrimp, the best fish for you, mackerel, sardines, salmon, because they got those the omega fatty acids in them. That is good for you, but not so much the fish finger stuff. Gordon's! That's it. Gordon's with a T. Yeah, that stuff isn't exactly that, but that was something my mom used to throw together. And I'll get that. Once in a great while, I'll get that. My lovely lady friend won't have any of it. She said, that's not really good for you. And the last thing that has to do with some conservatives. Conservatives know who Tucker Carlson is. Perhaps you do too. He plans to start a new show on Twitter. This apparently erased $235 million in value from the video platform Rumble. That's the all conservative version of Rumble. You know, there was the all conservative version of Twitter, which was Parler, Is that even around anymore? Let's see. Nope. Gone. Wow. It's gone. Yes, so we'll see what happens now to Rumble. And there was a lot of money being put into Rumble. The move pushed the Peter Thiel-backed video network down as much as 12% before trimming losses by half. As traders discussed whether Rumble will now have to compete with Twitter for users seeking conservative media personalities. Investors had snapped up shares of Rumble and other stocks as speculation over Carlson's next landing spot as he left Fox after his move from Fox Corporation after that lawsuit. The platform, which emerges a right-wing alternative to YouTube and claims to create technologies that are immune to cancel culture, is seen as a competitor to social media firms like Twitter and Facebook. Rumble rallied 6% on the day Carlson was ousted from Fox and had gained 17% through Tuesday's close. Digital World Acquisition Corp, the blank check firm taking Donald Trump's media company public, shook off losses to rise 1%, while Class A Fox shares dipped 1.6%. In the video, Carlson tweeted to announce his plans. He added that there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter. Isn't that amazing? Can you imagine that being said a year ago? Well, I guess Twitter has gone through the ringer, and had all the Republicans yell at them. And of course, Mr. Elon Musk let a lot of people go. So now apparently it's been purified. But you know what it is time now for? It's time now for the Mike Matthews New Tunes Feud. Yes, I get lots of wonderful emails to MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. People emailing me songs, and then I like to share it with you. Although I can't share the whole song because YouTube does not allow that, and they will ding me and they'll take down my video. Not because I talk about politics or anything like that. Nope. It's because, like, they took my friend down recently for some weird reason that they were saying he was getting money that was from fake accounts or some weird thing, so they took down his YouTube account, or they demonetized it, is what happened. So I'm going to play you a little bit of this song here from a group called Cassador. Our new record, Youth, it says, "Hey Mike, our new record, Youth, is due out June 2nd. It's about learning to make sense of the gap between youthful dreams and very adult realities, and ultimately learning to be okay with not being okay. We recorded at Bathhouse Studio with the glorious sons Brett Emmons producing and Niles Spencer engineering. Vic Florencia, who worked with Olivia Rodrigo, Jason Mraz, Five for Fighting, mixed the record. Hey, I met the guy. Jim Andrasik, was that it? Andrasik from Five for Fighting. I met him once. Very nice guy. We were hanging out in Port Hueneme, California, just before a acoustic concert that he did for us. And then Peter Letros mastered the album. Peter's worked with Beyonce and Duran Duran. Let's listen a little bit to this. This is called Younger Days by Cassador.
You still laugh just the way you used to.
There you go, Cassador. The next band, just a little bit. This reminds me of Benny Hill. Benny Hill would do like a long intro to a song, and then he'd sing the song after this long, super long intro. I'm going to be my lover by the willow tree. And then he would sing the song, and it'd be like 5 seconds, and then he'd go, my next song, and it would go like it's so. There, I've done all this description, and you only hear a little bit of the song. But you know where to find it. You know what it's called if you want to hear the rest of it. Okay, this next one is called Dirty Lil Dirt Bike, and it's by a band called Grimelda. Hi, Mike. It says, in a lot of ways, our new EP is a satire of the tropes found in classic rock. It's about how rock has become surface level, lost touch with the spirit of social justice it once had, or just become a parody of itself. But it's also about how that can be freeing. We wrote about classic rock acts that are still heard on the radio and how they get in the way of emerging artists, while also gushing over how much we love them. Okay, here is the song, Dirty Little Dirt Bike by Grimelda. By the way, they only have 5 subscribers, so go subscribe to them on their YouTube channel, won't you? That was song 2. Song 3. It is in the Growers. What? Growers. Okay. And their song, 17 Cigarettes. It says, hi, Mike. Hey, Mike. They all like to say, hey, Mike, when they address me. Ever have one of those long cigarette breaks where you contemplate all those choices in your life that will affect your future? No, I don't smoke and no one should. Our song 17 Cigarettes is inspired by the struggle of getting older, especially in your late teen years. Transitioning from being a kid to having a bit more responsibility and independence is tough. There are all these important choices ahead of you, where you might go to school or work, and what sort of impact those choices will have on the course of your life. At least they didn't say the word adulting. Ugh. Okay, here's a little bit of Growers and their song 17 Cigarettes. Okay, don't want to get dinged. Thank you, Growers. Oh, Ivy Tide. This is song number 4. Hi, Mike. Oh, they didn't say hey, Mike. They said hi, Mike. We are contacting you to share Please Don't Sugarcoat It, the 5th single off our upcoming debut album, further building momentum for its big release this coming fall. This song encapsulates an unrelenting confusion after being ghosted out of a situationship. Upon reflecting on every action, the protagonist pleads for an uninhibited explanation to such an abrupt ending to this situationship. Please Don't Sugarcoat It satirically delves into the cryptic nature of situationships, urging for more straightforwardness moving forwards. A singer-songwriter quality paired with dreamy indie pop instrumentals, catchy melodies, and an irresistible groove combine effortlessly to create a certified bop, if we do say so ourselves. Here is the band called Ivy Tide, and Please Don't Sugarcoat It.
I'm never gonna lie to you.
Keep getting knocked down a couple times, and I stay down. You'll hit back, 'cause I'll be around, but please don't sugarcoat it.
Sugarcoat It, that's what that is. Oh, they got a really cute husky, or is that a Samoyed, in the video that they sent me. And the last song is, I don't even know how you say this title, but Chicago's mute duo chart new paths for pedal steel and percussion on their expanded 3rd album, Migrant Flocks. Migrant Flocks. Mute duo is what they are called. Sam Wagster is the pedal steel guitarist. The drummer is Skylar Rowe. It synthesizes their wide-ranging influences and techniques into a striking document of singular music. It's sharp, dynamic, understated, inventive, and their first album to bring the power of their concerts onto record, this says. Okay, let's listen a little bit to the song Mute Duo And this is their song called Bizrama. So smooth, so mellow, and they only have 5 subscribers, so maybe subscribe to them as well. Mute Duo. Okay, there you go. Which one did you like better of all of those? Any of them stand out? Did none of them stand out? Why don't you give me a call, as my lovely lady friend would say. You can go to 510-228-4640 on your phone. That's right. Dial now. 510, because I'm in the 510, baby. The East Bay, baby. 510-228-4640. And if you didn't catch that because I said it oh so quickly, you can either hit rewind, because it's a podcast, or you can go to the website, MikesDailyPodcast.com, and with more information on how to reach me, here's a frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!